everyone. My name is Aliza Ross. I'm the Alumnae and Alumni Director at Notre of Maryland University. I'm really excited to connect with you in this new way. And as we all know, COVID-19 continues to have great impact on many, if not all aspects of our lives. But I'm really thankful for the technology that allows us to continue to connect, period, and learn about the excellent work our alums are doing globally, nationally, and locally, especially during this pandemic. We hope to have a series of these discussions as we move forward. I just want to thank you for your patience. Our intention was to broadcast this live on Facebook. Instead, we are being nimble, word of the day, and are recording this on Zoom, and we'll post it later on Facebook. And we are happy to take comments and questions after we've posted it, and we'll be happy to continue discussion in written form on Facebook. So thanks to all of you who are watching this from wherever you are. And as we proceed with our discussion, continue to make comments and, hit those like and love buttons, and we'll be sure to follow up with any questions you have. So now I'd like to introduce a really terrific Notre Dame alumna. She's a member of the Alumnae and Alumni Council who represents our School of Nursing. Naomi Cross, thank you so very much for joining me today. I'm just going to turn it over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Naomi Cross. I got my Bachelor's of Nursing degree in 2015, and I received my Master's of Nursing degree from Notre Dame in 2017. And now I'm on the Alumni Committee. And I also, I'm the Women's and Children's Nurse Educator at Sinai Hospital of Baltimore.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I start off by asking you a personal question?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, a little bit tired. I'm a little tired, but I'm really hopeful because I get to work with a lot of great, wonderful people every day. And I truly feel like I'm making a difference.
Yes.
So there's some fatigue there, but I feel very hopeful to press on every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's life like for you in the hospital right now, and for your colleagues?
First of all, it's really surreal because there is a lot of work to do. Just the amount of work is pretty large. However, like I said, I can't stress enough how I feel so honored to work with the team that I'm working with right now. So I'm a nurse educator, and I work with an education team at Sinai, and my team is made up of some pretty brilliant and very brave nurse educators, as well as healthcare providers. And they are some of the most incredible and flexible, hardworking people. And so we've really been able to just every day is a new day. I sometimes don't know what I'm going to be coming into, meaning that a lot of our classes and simulations have been canceled. So we've been pulled to do lots of different jobs. Our team has been split up into two, and half of our team is going to swabbing stations and actually swabbing at the very front lines in the drive-through swabbing stations that you probably have seen on TV. And they're very brave doing those things. And then another part of our team has been sent to the COVID-19 hotline. And that was one of the teams that I was on to help lead and educate nurses to answer the calls and do triage for people who were concerned that they were feeling sick, and we triaged them and helped them get testing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And recently I was tasked with the job of we now are screening all employees and all visitors and patients at every entrance in our hospital. So at this time, I'm now coordinating that effort with our leaders and helping maintain proper protective equipment at those entrances for our nurses, and making sure that they're protected and they're receiving education, which changes, our processes, and the information we get is changing like moment to moment.
Sure.
So making sure that our frontline staff have the support, the education, and they're being kept up to the latest updates that we have has been really important. So that's what I've been doing in the last 2 weeks.
Wow. That's such a huge responsibility to, be a nurse educator, right? To have to lead teams through this crisis. And so as you guide others, who do you look to for guidance of your own?
Well, again, so our teams are just made up of some really incredible people who I can't stress how much collaboration and teamwork has been just paramount in the situation. Being thrown into or thrust into different jobs every day in different situations, and being flexible. The teamwork is really important. So my team itself, we've just really come together, and we constantly are reassuring each other, giving each other positive reinforcement. Even if it's just a text or an emoji, letting each other know that everything's okay and we're here for them. Having phone calls with those my team leads, and my team members has been really just really comforting. And then really leaning back on the things that some of my mentors, especially at Notre Dame, have taught me and instilled in me. I can think of two in particular, two professors, Mary O'Connor and Mary Packard, who taught me I'm just so grateful to them to teach me to be a fearless leader, really understanding what that means, and putting that into work. But also, they taught me to look for the lessons in every experience. Like, what are these lessons? What am I learning today? What am I learning in this moment? That has been just incredible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because a lot of the times we speak about self-care a lot, right? And these days it's so critically important. So can you talk a little bit about how you achieve self-care, if you're able to right now, with the work schedule or the shift schedule that you have right now? And how does that include reflection and like kind of taking those tools, those things that Mary Packard and Mary O'Connor taught you, how you can kind of take the lessons back? How are you able to even do that in this short timeline?
So going back to those lessons, one of the things that I learned from Mary O'Connor and Mary Packard was the caring science theory, which is a nursing theory that embodies the preservation and promotion of humanity and human dignity and caring. And that caring doesn't just extend to others, but that caring extends to yourself. And that was something that I truly learned from them, because I think that nurses tend to be very selfless, almost to a fault. So learning that I need to fill my well in order to care for others was so very important. And so to apply those lessons, I've really tried to commit myself to my mindfulness practices. So my mindfulness practices include doing yoga, even if it's a 7-minute or 11-minute morning yoga, to help rebalance myself. Doing meditation. I have some meditation apps even on my phone that I can do a 5 or 10-minute meditation, especially when things are getting really intense. I can, even go to the bathroom and just
Sure.
take a
Yeah.
minute,
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
the door.
Right.
Because being all over the hospital, I just never know where I'm going to be. And just taking 5 minutes, closing the door, and just giving myself some time to deep breathe and kind of like refocus myself. I can say that when I come home from work, especially after a long day, it's been so helpful that my family is here. They're often already having dinner ready. My husband often makes a cup of tea when I come home. That has been invaluable, just to get, that warmth and that comfort of knowing I'm home. And then interestingly, I've been relying a lot on aromatherapy to help me sleep. using like jasmine. Those types of scents have really helped me calm myself. Just running those, like my diffuser in my bedroom has helped me kind of like calm down and take a moment and just feel like comfort.
Right.
So all of those little things have been really, really important.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So, and family is such a good support system, especially right now, right? And a lot of folks, you'll see different vignettes online of how nurses will transition from work to home these days. Can you
Mhm.
kind of walk us through your typical procedure of how do you come off your shift and get home, and thinking about your families and other folks that you live with or you interact with? How are you kind of making sure that you're keeping yourself safe, and that you're keeping others safe too?
Yeah, so that has always been so important to me. So we have to recognize that this is not the first time that the nursing and healthcare community have been thrust into a situation in which they are fearful for the health of their families. And so throughout my career, I've learned some really important lessons, including not bringing my uniform home. So one of the things I do is I make sure before I even when I get to my car, for instance, I try to wipe down things that I am going to bring into my home, like my backpack, like my ID badge, things like that, that I have to absolutely need. And then I do not bring my scrubs into my home, or the shoes that I wear at work. I think that that's really important, that I don't bring those things into the house. So I do leave those outside, and I take a shower. The first thing I do when I come home is I take a shower. And my family, they're usually eager to hug me and but greet me, but they usually know that they're very good about knowing, oh, mom hasn't had her shower yet. She's running upstairs to get her shower. We can get a hug and kiss as soon as she's done. So and usually I have to run away from the dog because he's one of the first ones. Really ugly. So, but I'm very careful and I'm very strict about it.
Yeah.
And then for instance, when I launder my uniform, I launder it on hot, and I do my machine wash. I do a cleanse cycle for the
Mhm.
both my dryer and my washer between my scrubs and anything else that goes um,
Right.
in the laundry.
Right.
So those are some
And
things.
that's really good to know, because as we're thinking about, like, what are the things that we need, right, to help keep us all safe, right? So what would you advise, folks who aren't on the front lines, like, and like, what materials should you be using? What do you use to wipe down your backpack and to wipe down other surfaces that you might touch?
Oh, okay. So I think that's a really good question. And I, even with nursing staff and healthcare staff, I always remind them that we have to remember the basics, right? So we have lots of things now that we didn't used to have, such as alcohol, hand sanitizer spray, hand sanitizer gel. But remember, soap and water does a really good job. So we can, if you don't have, the hand sanitizer gel or sprays and things like that, it's totally okay to wipe stuff down with hot water and soap.
Right.
Um, Wash your hands with soap and water, making sure you're washing your hands for 20 seconds. And even when I'm teaching my own family, I tell them that if you wash your hands like this, five, and you count to five for each side of your hands, making sure you're getting your thumbs, then you've done it for 20 seconds. And I know there's lots of fun things like, singing songs, but truly, if you want to make sure that you're doing it for the right amount, you can just count each while you're scrubbing, and making sure that you're using friction,
Hmm.
because a lot of people I see, they like to do this, but if you're not really getting really good friction, that doesn't really help get at the germs off of your hands. And then when I'm wiping down my backpack, I usually use 91% alcohol. And I think that there's been many different theories out there, but truly, I always, when people ask me, like my friends and family, I always send them to the CDC website to make sure they're getting the absolute updated information. But that is what I'm using right now is just pour it. And what I've done is I just pour the alcohol from my first aid kit that I've had in my home. I pour it in a little spray bottle and I take that to work every day. And when I get to my car, I spray it all down. I wait for it to dry, and then I pack myself and my stuff into my vehicle.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Can we go back to your Notre Dame education for just a quick
Sure.
second? So, nobody knows when we're going to have a crisis, right? So speaking a little bit rhetorically, um, can you pinpoint some instances where in your education, in your Notre Dame education, you might have been perhaps prepped for a crisis like this?
Actually, I love that question, and I could talk about my Notre Dame education all day. I really enjoyed my education at Notre Dame. So one of the things is that, first of all, I like to mention that nurses, in our training, in our education, we are strong, we are resilient, we are empowered with knowledge, right? And we are prepared with critical thinking skills to problem solve for just situations like this. And the other thing is we have a population health, public health class that we take that actually discusses all of these epidemic, pandemic type of scenarios. We need to remember that there have been other diseases out there, right? This is not the first time this has ever happened, and we can learn from history. So there have been things like, and in my own clinical experience, there have been things like MRSA. Just recently we've had Ebola. All of those things have taught us a lot of lessons and prepared us. And so through the education, through population health and different things like simulation scenarios that the nursing school does to prepare us for, triaging in an open air situation. We've actually even had classes, gaming scenarios that we can use, that I believe are even called pandemic. That actually walk nursing students through pandemic or epidemiological scenarios, to discuss, like, what an epidemiologist actually does and how they think and the questions they ask. And there are even groups that do kind of like marathons where they do a case scenario and they think ahead and they ask questions, so we can start thinking of questions of where, why, how, that Socratic thinking to help us prepare for crisis. The other thing is I'd like to mention too is that this is a disease kind of crisis, but we've had other kinds of crises too, like the fires in California, like tornadoes and hurricanes. And that's all part of the things that we learn in public health too. So we can apply those types of lessons to what we're going through right now.
Yeah. No, well said, Naomi. I'm really just amazed at the work that you do, that you and that of your colleagues, and it's truly heroic. And certainly what is happening now is going to change the trajectory of the healthcare and healthcare supporting fields. So I have one more question for you today.
Sure.
And that is, would you consider offering a few words of wisdom to students who are going to be embarking on careers in healthcare or careers that work in partnership with healthcare?
Yes. First of all, I would say that you have everything within you to move forward and to take on any crisis. I believe that with the knowledge that we learn and with the training and education that we get, I have so much hope in the generations coming from behind us that they will learn lessons from us and they will be prepared and they will be able to rise to the challenge. I truly believe that, and I have a lot of hope for that. I've seen so many new grads recently that on the front lines who are just so brave, so caring. So I know that this is a very scary time, but you are so needed and you are so valuable, and I believe in you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's really, really kind. Oh, thank you. You know, Naomi, you are in my heart and have been for these past weeks. And I would really just like to say, please know, you know, how much we care for you and your family and your colleagues and your students and really everyone who's on directly on the front lines of this pandemic. And I know that we'll continue to keep in touch. For folks who have been watching at home, thanks for watching our recording today. And if you'd like to share it with others, we hope you will. Naomi will be available so that if you have other questions, feel free to write into us. You can post in the comments where this is posted around social media sites, and we'll be happy to share your questions and comments with Naomi and provide you some feedback on her answers. And we are hoping to do some other virtual programming like this. There will also be a link in the comments for our new virtual programming and resources page that is hosted on the Notre website. So thanks everyone for watching today, and just don't forget that together we are NDMU. Thank you.
Thank you.